Everyone, I have the amazing Jennifer Pickens here. I have to preface with, I've got people joining the call quick and fast. I have to preface with the fact that the first thing I ever knew about you, Jennifer, was when you, and I can't even remember the specifics because I obviously didn't learn the lesson well enough, but you reached out to me and said something about monetizing the calls. And when we very first started Cup of Joe, and I was like, oh gosh, it sounds very, very grown up to me, but I'll give it
Yeah,
a
I
try.
thought you could have a tip jar or something.
It was lovely, and it was lovely that you reached out and said it. And you're also a moderator of a group I'm in, and you're also hugely popular amongst fellow narrators. And the second time, aside from just being one of my favorite people that's there in the group, I was on the first and last ever Cup of Joe call where the guest didn't show up. And what does a host do in that instance? I said, okay, we'll just interview the audience. And it was you, and I know Jeff Giel and Jonathan, a couple of people were on the call. And my apologies if I've left anyone out. And I remember I was kind of a deer caught in the headlights. I remember saying, and this was an assumption, it was the first and last time I ever made this assumption. I remember saying, oh, well, you and I wouldn't be going for the same kind of books anyway, would you? Because I assume that. I assume that about every female narrator. And I'm used to, it's more a thing that I'm used to me not fitting into the genres that I see. And then just out of curiosity, when I went to edit the call, I listened to some of your stuff and I thought, oh my God, she is completely. And then when we went to do this call, I listened to your work. I saw your website and I was blown away because the same impression I got from you with very few words, we haven't had many interactions, is you're a jobbing narrator. You're like the actors I used to know and admire and work with. You're a craftsman first. You are. It comes out in your work. There, I mean, I
Mm.
just know that about you. And you somehow have managed, just on your website and your social media presence, to bottle that thing that we're all searching for, that quote unquote authenticity buzzword. But you genuinely, it's so you. Your writing is beautiful on your website.
Oh,
Your
thank you.
voice is strong. Your characters are all over the map, completely different, versatile. There's no mistaking you. You're going to know you've got a Jennifer Pickens book. If you've got a Jennifer Pickens book, you are clearly branded, and it feels hugely genuine. And so by the end of this call, I'm counting on figuring out how you do it so I can do it exactly the
I I think it's
same.
I think it might be because I hate the idea of branding. When we talk about like it makes sense to me when we're talking about a company, and I know we're businesses, but we're people, and when we start talking about branding and I came into the narrator space with that already feeling ick about it, like just because I felt like random people that weren't even self-employed would talk about branding themselves. And I
Mhm.
was just like, ew, we're not, we're not businesses, we're not corporations, we're people. So I already felt ick about it. And then I became a self-employed person trying to market myself. And I was like, ooh, I have to brand myself. So I don't know. I spent a lot of time trying not to think about branding. And I think it's just maybe that's why it feels authentic because you still have to. I mean, you have to present yourself.
Yeah,
Um,
but you do the
and
work.
it's probably partly a lie to say I don't. I mean, obviously, like I'm conscious of how I present myself, like to the world. I want producers to see me a certain way. I want, authors to see me a certain way. But
But I don't get that I get the feeling with everything you do, with your style, with your craft, with your communication, that it doesn't come from that. I get the feeling that it comes from, oh, I like this, I'm going to wear it. Oh, I like this, I'm going to say it or narrate it. Oh, this is pretty. And I respect the hell out of that because that's my happy place is follow the curiosity. I'm fascinated by your childhood. Can you please tell me about 10-year-old Jennifer?
10-year-old Jennifer, 10-year-old Jennifer was a shy. By the time I was 10, I got shy. When I started going to school and I was around other kids, I wasn't a shy, like, itty bitty kid. I was very, like, in charge in the room. Um, I was, my favorite things to play. I was the princess. I was the evil stepmother. I was taking control of the space. But once I got into school, I became very shy. Um, because kids are scary. Large groups of people are a little scary.
Did you have
Um,
brothers and sisters?
I had
Like,
a younger
oh,
sister. Yeah, yeah. She's 3 years younger than I am. And yeah, and we had fun together. I bossed her around. We played dress up and um, yeah, lots of my parents were musical, so I grew up singing. My grandfather and grandmother are musical, so we'd sing when we get together. My grandpa played mandolin and banjo and piano, and my dad played guitar, and so that was the kind of
that's so cool.
experience that family, meant to me. And my extended family, that was fun when we'd get together. Like on my dad's side, they were all musical, so that everyone would be singing and playing their instruments, and
That's wonderful.
yeah.
Do you have any of that? Do you ever go for family dinners and still have the music and the
I
singing or
rarely see family. We're also spread out
yeah.
at this point. So yeah, I miss that. I miss that. But
So what were your loves? Did you have big dreams? Were you just living in the moment? Did you have things you loved to do when you were that age?
I was a bit of a live in the moment kind of person. I always have been. It's hard for me to sort of imagine the future. What is that? I don't know what that is. Um, Not out of a Zen sort of like, accept the moment mentality, but just probably ADHD. Um, I liked to read. Always had a book. Went to the library a lot as a
What
kid.
kind of books did you like at that age?
Anything and everything, especially if it seemed like it was above my reading level and it made me feel very grown up.
Yep,
If I
me
felt like I
too.
was reading the grown up books, then yeah, I liked that. If it was like just a little bit too hard for me to understand, it made me feel like I was, yeah, smart.
Yeah, they really shouldn't have left the Marquis de Sade out in my house because I was too young.
Although I was a little bit of a prude. If it got too adult in that way, I remember I was reading A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, and there was just something that is not a risque book, but I think she found a condom or something, and I was like, so I was, I
Yeah.
was very, very, yeah, I was a
You
little bit of a
you
prude,
remember
but
Flowers in the Attic? I found
I
that I
didn't.
was like shocked. I was horrified. I was like going to report it to someone. Marquis de Sade was fine, but
I
Flowers in
knew of
the
it.
Attic. Okay, so you were living in the moment and everything. You're going through school. You're kind of shy. What happened after that when you're out in the big bad world?
I got out of school. I took off. Well, when I was 20, I was going to be a missionary. I was very I don't know. I was very spiritual. I was very religious. It was a big part of my life. And I wanted to help people. And through that lens, it felt like, well, that's how you help people. So I was going to be a missionary. I thought I'd maybe do inner city kind of stuff, but it didn't really. That shifted pretty quickly. I didn't like. I think I would have been better served to work at a food kitchen or join the Peace Corps or something. I like helping people, but I don't like telling people what they ought to believe. Um,
Did you go through a rebellious stage, like kegers and getting in trouble and all that?
um, not when I was young. I was a goody two shoes for the most part. Um, I sometimes sometimes some of the adults in my church maybe thought that I was a bad rebel because I hung out with like the weird bad kids at school, and I dressed a little like weird.
I know you
So
seem like one of the cool girls. You do seem super cool. Like, I don't know why you're branding, but
it's my branding. It's just branding. Um, no, but I mean, I did always, I was drawn to the weird kids, which, in retrospect, it's like when you think about like the cool kids, I guess, I don't know. I guess I do think about the weird kids when I think about the cool kids. So I guess I hung out with what I would consider the cool kids.
do you know what
Yeah,
I
there
mean?
was, yeah, yeah. I think I was always, I was always sort of part of groups, but not, yeah, yeah. Everywhere at church, and then maybe with some of the other kids I hung out with too. I wasn't quite, I was like, oh, well, don't invite Jenny to this party because she like won't drink and she'll look at us funny. Um,
But you
so,
own, maybe that's because a lot of young kids don't own themselves. And if you have a strong sense of self through the books and the music and the strong family, you're never going to fit in, are you, with any group?
and it does force you to know yourself, to spend time in your head, um, yeah. If you feel like you don't quite fit perfectly into it, slot in perfectly to a group, but you can be okay with that, but you can be comfortable and still, find friends. Maybe it does force you to sort of get to know yourself in a different
Were
way.
you okay with? Because I wasn't okay with that. I wanted to believe, I wanted them to think I'm shallow that way. I would like pretend to like stupid things. And just to like be like, I would buy big bottles of vodka and empty them out and fill them with water. So
No,
I
I
looked
didn't do
like I
that. I
was
didn't
cool.
do that.
That's how bad it
I
was.
mean, I have certainly found myself, like, I think we all do, like, I've said things and then afterward been like, that's not true. What did I say that? I just wanted that person to like me. But I was, for the most part, I think, okay with just like, yeah,
Being
kids thinking
yourself.
that I was, yeah. And I mean, maybe part of that came from the fact that I was because of my religious streak. Um, I had to get kind of okay early on, like, but wanting to hang out with these other kids, I had to get used to the idea of them not understanding, um, and
I
disagreeing with
love that
me.
because of your conviction, though, because you were
Yeah.
firm in your conviction.
And there is an idea in like the churches that I grew up in where it was like, you go into the world and you represent who you are, in a way um, that I don't do anymore, but that probably did serve me well, in trying to stay true to who I was.
I like that. That's interesting to hear. That gives me something to think about religion on top of all the things that I assume about
Oh
religion.
yeah, I mean, there's also like 100 ways that it wanted to mold me into something that I wasn't, but it did also there was an element um of teaching you to like stand firm in your, what you thought, what you
Which would
believed.
make sense. It would have to, which I like that actually. So at what point in your life did you fully come to yourself? Like dark nights of the soul, feel like you have to
Mm,
change, dodgy roommate. What, give us the highlights.
I Let me see. When I was in my mid 20s, I think I had sort of an internal upset where I felt like it was all very slow. I'm a slow thinker and mover. So I don't think anything looked dramatic if you were like watching me at the time, but there was like this slow shift in my thinking. Didn't want to be a missionary anymore. I didn't want to tell people what to think. That caused me to like that was a big reassessment. Like, well, why? What does that mean?
Was it
Who am
slowly just
I?
going off the idea, or did something?
Um, I had never felt comfortable telling people what they should think, what they should believe, um, which is tough when you want to be a missionary and you're supposed to like converting people is like built into the whole premise for a lot of people. There are segments where the focus on just do good works and whatever happens happens. But anyway, a separate conversation. And then I gradually started thinking maybe I actually shouldn't tell people what to think. Maybe maybe it's okay if they think something different, and not just in a general it's okay, but maybe like we're all trying to do the same thing. Um, and when you start having those thoughts, it starts, yeah. When you're really religious, it's you do start questioning everything.
Yeah.
Um, and it wasn't that I had ceased to be a believer at the time. It was just, yeah,
There's
reordering.
also isn't th- there's a separation between the church and the faith, right? Because I can see not wanting to convert people, not wanting questioning aspects of the church, but still having a deeply held belief in the faith, whatever the faith you choose and you grew up in,
Yeah. I
right?
mean, there's joy in finding that you share things with people, but part of that joy is finding that you share things with people who are also different from you in other ways.
Right,
That's part of the
exactly.
joy. It's if you're just all cookie cutter carbon copies of each other, then what is there's well, yeah, of course we all think the same thing. That who
You're never
cares?
going to find there's nobody as completely crazy as you. Not you particularly, but the
Thanks,
collective you.
Daniela.
But you know what I mean? The
Yes.
collective you. There's nobody as
Yeah.
crazy as each one of us is. So, it's like pick and mix, you know, choose the flavors you like. So tell me, I want to know what training you had to get to the point that you have this astounding talent. Did you have acting training?
No, no. I did as a kid, I mean, I did some community theater when I was like young, like just, Oliver and Annie, and I was running around having fun singing, being an orphan. But and then I did like show choir in high school, but I didn't have acting training. And
Probably
I
the
was
musicality, though,
and I was
helped.
used to being on stage because if you're musical and you're in a church, you end up on stage. For especially in a sort of charismatic church situation where you've got guitars and yeah. So I grew up at school and at church on stage. So I was comfortable with that for the most part. You know, but acting felt very different. That was scary. Um, I didn't think that I could be an actor. Uh, it's very exposing, like in a way that feels different than singing to me. Um, if you feel like you're a good singer, you it's still scary and your voice can crack, but you're doing this thing that felt very different. Acting seemed like it was so real,
Mm.
in a way that singing didn't feel to me, I think.
I'm the opposite. I cry when I try to sing. I get
Mm.
so nervous and stressed and freaked out. But you grew up knowing you were a good singer and it was a natural thing to do. I think if you're
Yeah,
told,
when people are telling you, yeah,
yeah,
you have a good voice, you should sing, like get up there and do that. It's even if it's scary, it feels like, well, sure, yeah, I'll do
I've
this.
listened to your samples. You are a born actor. You are a born actor. I and I think I sent it, I told you your website and Exy Sands, my two all-time top favorites.
And that made me happy because Sands website is my favorite. So
It's something
it's
because that's what
beautiful.
it
Yeah.
is. Special, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's her.
Yeah.
You look at it and it's this whole person jumps out at you. And yours is the way your about section is is I'll be fair. I'll be fair. I've been running on endorphins for like 3 weeks and all my new habits. And I had a tiny, tiny crash because something triggered me the day I was doing your thing. And while I was doing your promo, I kept getting bad news in
Yeah.
emails and things like just things that, and then I looked at your website and I thought, damn it, I want to be this. My website's crap. Why? And
Oh,
I thought,
it's not.
so I did have a little like a, and I thought, no, because I rarely get jealous. I thought that's jealousy. So jealousy is your heart telling you you have to take an action. So I went and I still like your website better, but I went and tweaked my about section a little bit, still making it me, but I changed it to first person because I love yours. It pulls you in. It's Jennifer saying, look, this is who I am. I would
Well,
hire you as a narrator in a second from that website.
thank you, because I've, yeah, like writing the about is like my least favorite part of like designing a website because
It's
I find it very
beautiful.
difficult. I find it very difficult.
No, it's if anybody watches this video on YouTube next 100 years, especially if you're a new narrator starting, that's a check out Jennifer Pickens' website. It's a master class. It is beautiful. Um, oh yeah, Stacy says like coming up with a damned fun fact. I know, and Stacy, right? It's like that. It's like the way they always say, be authentic. Just tell us what you really think. And then when you're out, we want to see the real you. And then you give them the real you, and they go, no, 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 not that you. Give us a different real you.
The you we thought we were gonna get.
So, what made you? So, first of all, are you? What is it that you pose for illustrations? I find that fascinating as well.
My husband is a book illustrator. It's so yeah, and he just photo based work. So yeah, he had an in-house model, so that was before we were together. We just were friends, and I had like modeled for him, and so yeah, book covers, book illustrations, magazines, that kind of thing.
And also how romantic friends getting married. I love that. I
Yeah,
love the
yeah.
slow simmer.
Yeah, we were it I mean, in retrospect, it wasn't that slow, but yeah, we were friends first. It was I was that was very much my way of getting to know people. I was like, no, we're not dating, we're friends.
I like
We're
that.
friends.
I like that. And then you're madly in love a week
Hmm.
later.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And when it
And
happened,
then
it happened.
metal, what do you do with the
Oh,
metal?
yeah, metalsmithing. It's the jewelry. It's copper and brass and rocks and fire and solder. Um,
So you've got the big mask and like the woman in the flash dance.
um, no big mask, like just small scale. Just at my little workbench. Just with my little saw and my little hammer. And
Some
but
sorry,
I but I move around from hobby to hobby. It's yeah,
so you follow your muse.
I do. I like learning. I like learning things, and it's so I can be a bit of a flitter from thing to thing, and I think when I stuck with narration, like my partner is used to me like getting really interested in something and saying, "Yeah, I'm going to do this," and I see him go, "Oh, okay, are you? Cool." Um, we'll see how long I can see the like the internal. We'll see how long that lasts.
He's too polite to say it thing. I get
Yeah.
that.
But he was encouraging, when I was like buying my microphone and my and I was like, I'm gonna go do this class, and
What made you think of it? What drew you to it?
I was a pandemic narrator. My everything shut down, and I, for the first time ever, I worked in the service industry. So I was a tea house manager, um, and when everything
Oh,
shut
see, even your
down,
9 to 5 job is cool. I was a tea house manager. You're not like, oh, I schlepped burgers at I was a tea house manager. Everything you do has a very specific style. Do you do it on purpose? Or do you just
I mean, if I
what
have
you
the
like?
choice between, if I have the choice between working at a place that feels cool to me, like fun,
Yeah.
versus a place that doesn't, I'm gonna try to get the job at the place that seems fun. So that's it. It's just, yeah, it's just like I like tea and I like tea houses, and if I could work there rather than at, I mean, I've done fine dining, I've done family restaurants, I've done, coffee shops,
Yeah.
I've done it all, but yeah, it was a good job. It was a good job.
And were you an audiobook listener at that time?
I was, but they felt more like an occasional treat. I was predominantly, books on paper, and that is one of the things that when everything shut down, I had to go return all my library books, and then I couldn't check out any more library books. I didn't have, and we have books in the house, but that's not very exciting. I've already read those.
Yeah.
Um, and I didn't have an e-reader. I didn't have a Kindle. I didn't have a tablet. I didn't have a working laptop. I had like one desktop computer. I was like, what am I going to do for a book? And I was like, wait, I have my phone. I think you can get audiobooks from the library. And I started listening to more audiobooks while I was, sitting around the house, baking bread and quilting and not doing anything, trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life.
I love the
And
pandemic. I'm sorry to say it, but I loved the Zoom, the togetherness. I love the pandemic narrators. I do. They were like my dear hearts when we started the Cup of Joe, the camaraderie. I love the pandemic. I'm not obviously the
no, the
death
pandemic was awful.
itself was
And
awful.
so it's really weird to talk about it, but I had the same experience where it was like
The
I
resilience.
I was running, running, going, going, and all of a sudden we were all talking to each other, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden we all had time to talk to each other, and we all had time to stop and think about what we were doing and what we wanted to do. I mean, I say all of us, not all of us. Some people's lives went into overdrive when when the pandemic started, all the essential workers. Um,
Yeah. I mean that, and to be honest, I don't mean to
No, I
I'm not
yeah,
taking that part lightly. That's horrible. But I
I
do
just feel
think,
like I have to say it when I have this
yeah,
conversation.
it is. It is.
Yeah.
And also there was fear
Hmm.
and it affected my health badly. I didn't leave the
Oh
flat.
yeah,
I just stopped.
yeah, I still, it still affects the way I live my life. My,
Yeah.
my husband is high risk and I'm very careful. Uh, and everything's back to normal except not for me. I'm still very careful.
Yeah, I just started going out again 2 months ago. It really did change the trajectory of people's lives. But as with everything, and I'm happy I'm this way, also see the good. And I loved seeing what people created. So many people created so many things. We wouldn't have so many amazing narrators. We wouldn't have so many actors created their own work. Just the art that
Yeah.
Gina's Just Keep Dancing online, that, you know what I mean? Just the access to the entire world of creativity that I can't deny the power of all that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Um, and yeah, so for the first time in years, I had space to stop and go like, well, if I wasn't doing what I am doing,
What would I do?
what would I do? What would I want to do? And I didn't really know the answer. Um, I mean, I had hobbies and I thought, well, I could, and some of them, like I sold jewelry online and I was like, well, I could really go gung ho at this, but it didn't feel like something I necessarily wanted to do full time. I'd been doing it long enough to feel like that would take the joy out of it. It was one of those things where when I was in the mood to create, it was fun, but then like I had things that were made to order, and every time somebody ordered one, I'd be like, I have to go make this now. Um, so I kind of knew that doing that full time with that business model was going to be rough for me.
It would
Um,
ruin it for you, the joy of it, wouldn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was quilting, sitting on my couch, listening to audiobooks, um, and I remember the book that I was listening to when I thought, so there was something about my connection with this narrator where I felt she was really good. I'm not saying she sounded like a newbie or something, but I just felt there was something in her voice or in her delivery where I felt like maybe I could do that. Um, it wasn't the kind of experience like I could do that better. I think I should do this. It was like I connected with what she was doing in a way that really made me want to think. I thought about it for the first time, like and
I
it just
love that
started
you said that because I'm racking my brain. I don't think any of us listen to other narrators and think we could do it better, do we? But we listen to all narrators and think, how would I do that? Like,
yeah,
how would I
yeah,
bring myself to that? Yeah,
yeah. Maybe
yeah.
I would do it differently, but yeah, it's uh, and so I started Googling, not knowing that it was going to turn into yeah, full blown obsession, and then
What was
and
your
since
first
I
book? Like the
um
first time you got offered a job that paid, what was that?
the first book I narrated was called True Crime by Samantha Kolyesnik. It's not available anymore, um, which makes me a little sad that for personal reasons the author needed to take it down. But it was a horror, and it was actually a wonderful first book for me because the main character, it's first person. She's 16 years old. She's a bit of a sociopath. So my naivete as a narrator, I think, actually kind of helped the character. She she was a bit disconnected. so so if I wasn't perfectly connected as an actor, it may have actually helped the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also newbie energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
the challenge,
Um,
holding on to that
yeah.
energy.
Yeah. So that was on ACX. I started, Krista Lewis, was the first person that I coached with. She's lovely. She was doing, I think she might, I think she still does coaching. Go to her website. Um, but she was doing like group coaching at like pandemic rates, like pay what you can. So it felt very non-threatening. It was like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
not, there's several people there. I can just give her whatever I feel like I can afford. Um, and she was really encouraging. So, I actually have a little recording from one of those first classes and I listened to it recently and I was like, who is that? Who is this scared child, like reading this book, it's very strange. Being able to hear one of those first coaching sessions where, but she encouraged me and I kept working at it.
So tell me, was there a time, if you could go back to that Jennifer and give her a coaching session, whether it's mindset, craft, anything, what's different about you now from that Jennifer? What would you tell her?
I think the thing that held me back the most in the beginning was my fear of being bad at it. So I was afraid to really be expressive and to really um, make big choices. And that's still, I mean, I still have to tell myself that now. That's, it's ongoing. Um, but I would tell myself to not be afraid to be bad. You know, I mean, you're gonna always think that like what you did in the past was could have been better. I think every job I've ever done, no matter how proud I am of it, if I go back and listen to it, I'm like, oh, you know,
Yeah.
that could have been a little better, right there. You'll always feel that way, but
Because we're meant to keep growing and learning new
mhm.
things, like personal development, but probably not such a good idea to record 250 public interviews before you knew all the new things. Because growing is great, but you've always got the old you, you know. And yeah, I think you sound, tell me if I'm wrong, like you feel comfortable. Like you sound like you're kind of in a happy place with yourself in the recording, in the work. It comes through in your reads, a quiet confidence. Though that quiet confidence is what I think of.
Yeah,
Am I?
I mean, I don't think you're wrong. I think I feel much more confident now than I did. I mean, I'm still always a little scared and I always want to be better, but I think what I try to do is embrace rather than thinking I'm not good and letting that make me afraid to perform. I try to lean into the desire to be better and learn because that's what keeps me interested. Um, the whole ADHD thing and flitting around, if there's nothing new to learn, if there's nowhere to go, if there's nowhere to grow, I mean, I will get bored.
Yeah.
And I'll be working on an oil rig next week because I'll just need to do something, different. I won't be working on an oil rig, but you know what I
Never
mean.
say never. You never know. I mean, the thing is, all those things that we pursue, right? They all go into the whole, and you can bring them into your work. All those other interests. That's why you can
Mm-hmm.
never get bored as a narrator, because it's
Yeah.
our job to like live life and do other things.
Mm-hmm.
The
Absolutely.
pandemic cost us a bit of that. That I have to say, the pandemic cost us, it cut us off
Yeah. Yeah.
from going and doing as much. But yeah,
Yeah, it did. And I'm still, figuring out how to bring some of that, back into my life, in a physical way, in a way that isn't virtual and online, as much as I love, you know.
Yeah. I know other narrators they've gone back to live theater and back to, um, I had a big fear of, because I got chronic fatigue syndrome and the thought of getting COVID, on top of that was just too much. For the last 2 months I've been going out, I started to get better and I've been going out. And a few days ago, it occurred to me, I used to smile and make eye contact, and I don't anymore. I avoid noticing anyone else when they're walking their dogs or anything. So I'm making an effort. It feels odd.
Mm.
It feels weird being out in the world again, which is sad. That is a sad thing that we've missed, that we've lost for a while, temporarily, especially if you've got someone in your house that has to be careful, because then what do you do with that fear? You
Yeah,
know?
and and there's no obvious clear path forward, like what everyone's just having to make decisions, that feel right to them, about about how to move forward. I still wear a mask if I go in the grocery store, I wear a mask,
Yeah.
and hardly anyone is doing it anymore.
And
People
they look
start
at you like you're a freak. I know, because like when I go to the doctors, I don't want to be in a doctor's waiting room because I'm a very
where
black
the
and white
most sick
thinker.
people are,
Yeah.
like in the whole, like where you're ever gonna go, the most sick people. Yeah,
Yeah. And I
yeah.
guarantee the receptionist has immunity, but the thing is, I'm a black and white thinker. So when everyone else started getting out and getting back to life, I was like, okay, so is it over? And they're like, no. And I'm like, okay, so why was it not okay yesterday, but now today it's okay? And all I ever got from people was the kind of, oh, well, people are more immune and it's a weaker version of it. So it's still here. I'm coming to terms with the fact that health and life isn't black and white.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, there are some things that we can look at and know for sure on paper, but when it comes to like the decisions that we make based on the information that we have,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it really pisses me off.
Why can't it all be obvious?
Exactly. Like going back to when you're a kid and you get those comic books and on the back page they say if you buy this invisibility cloak, nobody will be able to see you, and then you buy it and it arrives and everyone can see you. And don't get me started on sea monkeys because they're not wearing those outfits.
Were you a really literal thinker as a kid?
Yeah, yeah, I still am.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't understand how they can get away with false
Like,
advertising.
why are you lying to me? This is not fun. People are like, it's fun. And you're like, that no, you lied to me. That's not fun.
Yeah, it's
Thanks.
not
Yeah.
what I paid for. Yeah. Yeah. I still do though. I buy the book that says you're going to have a new you in 7 days, and then I'm shocked that I'm not a new you.
But
Okay, but
I would no, go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead. I was going to
Oh, I
say
was just
back to
gonna
Jennifer.
let's talk about you. Um, I was gonna say, as a kid, my mother, when I was young, and sometimes when I tell people this, they think it's like terrible, but she told me when I was really young that Santa Claus wasn't real, but that it was fun to pretend like he was. So I knew not to go, and I knew that some kids thought he was, so I knew I couldn't go to school and be like, uh-uh, that's not true. Santa Claus isn't real. Um, so at home, we still had presents from Santa, but it became like we were in on it. It was like, you got to go to bed. Santa's coming. And we'd be giggling. And then mom and dad would be like shaking like bells downstairs, like, do you hear that? It's Santa. Um, so telling us that Santa Claus wasn't real didn't destroy the magic. It actually made it more magical because it brought us in on the
Yeah.
ritual. Um, which for me felt more special as someone who wanted to feel like I was, reading above my, my grade level and who like knew things that other people didn't. That was more fun. It was more special. Yeah.
I think that was actually very, I wish, yeah, because when I found out they lied to me, I remember announcing to my mother, "You are no longer mommy. From this day on, you are mother.
Oh
And we won't
goodness.
ever talk about this again." I was
You were
betrayed.
betrayed. You felt betrayed. Yeah.
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 And she was mother from that day on. I like our parents treated us like children. We weren't adults. I think that's, do you feel that that's helped you in life? The fact that your parents treated you kind of more like equals.
Yeah, I was lucky. I had good parents and especially, a good mom in that she always talked to me like I was, I mean, not overly, but like she let me be a kid, but she spoke to me as though I were intelligent and that I um could understand the world and we would have serious conversations about serious things and she trusted my ability to think for myself.
Oh, wow.
Um
I'm envious. That's, you know, that's a lot.
and she worked to teach me empathy, which is one reason uh when I meet people and they have no empathy, I th and I know it's part of it's innate, part of it's just in us and who we are, but I think, did your parent not like it was something that we worked on. Like my mom, every time something would happen, we would talk about what the other people were feeling and what was going on with them. Um, which certainly carries over to the work of being an audiobook narrator and being an actor. Um, so in that sense, she was giving me acting training as a kid because she was teaching me, to think about what other people are feeling.
You make me realize we're very lucky in this because my favorite thing about this job is the people, the writers, the narrators, and they're all, you couldn't do this job if you weren't emotionally intelligent. I mean, you really couldn't. I can't think of one fellow narrator or writer that isn't. But when I was in corporate offices, for my sins, at yeah, you run across people like that quite often, and I think that's the thing I'm most grateful of for this career.
When you meet someone and they don't even seem interested in thinking about what somebody else is thinking or feeling, it's like
I just
life
always
must like
assumed they weren't bright. Just- I know that's not kind, but I just always assumed they weren't very smart. That it's like people that don't like animals. I just don't get it. I just don't. I don't have any. Sorry if you're a person that doesn't like animals, but I just
no, I
don't.
like animals.
I just don't. There are some things that I just can't understand. Do you know what I mean? I'm
Hmm.
not going to say that I don't think they're smart, but maybe we're just really different.
I think sometimes there's just a disconnect. Um,
Yeah.
people, yeah, I don't know.
But
Some
well, I think you put your finger on it with what you were saying about your mother. It's some things you need to be taught when you're young. And even when I was talking about like the politics thing, I feel that people are so, without getting into politics because I avoid it like the plague, even though I've brought it up 4 times this call. But I think the reason people it's so emotive is because we grew up with some of those deeply held beliefs because they were deeply held beliefs of our parents. And to disown what your parents believe feels it feels wrong. I think there's a child in all of us still, and we believe what our parents believed, or the exact opposite if we go against them. But do you know what I mean? There's And it's with religion and everything, isn't it? And but thank God we get to play with our souls like every day.
So much of life is trying to figure it out. And
Yeah.
even the things that we think are like, well, this is how it is, and you look at like, okay, well, but why is that the way it is? Well, it's just because we're all trying to figure it out. We're all looking for systems and processes to help us move through the world. And if you're lucky, you find some that resonate, and if you're lucky, maybe the ones your parents gave you work for you. But if not,
Yeah.
you have to find new ones.
But if you look to art, I study a lot of dance because I'm hopeless at it. I'm not very good at it, but I'm fascinated by dancers' mindsets. And I was listening to the ballerinas. They're striving to become technically free. So they want to become so great at their craft so that they don't have to think about it. And that's how I feel about our job. When people tell you about accents and dialects and learning first you learn the recording and you learn what to do in the booth and how to breathe but the end game is to have that in your bones and then be able to go in the booth and trust
Mm-hmm.
and let go of, so then you're not in the booth, right? It's just the characters. You're gone. Your analytical mind, you've done all the training. Um, and then the trick is hold on to some of that newbie joy and energy and excitement at the same time. It's not an easy gig, that.
No, it's not. It's not. We're juggling a lot all at once, all at once, and it's exhausting, mentally and emotionally.
What do you do schedule wise? Like, what's your day like?
I'm pretty all over the place, and I tend to work at night, um, which started because it was quiet at night, um, and I'm kind of a night owl anyway. Um, so I do a lot of my recording like late at night, like, sometimes I'm up till 4 in the morning and then I sleep until
Wow.
whenever I sleep. And yeah.
You're
Um,
hardcore. You're worse than me. I'm better than wow. And it's hard to shock
well,
me.
I know you talk sometimes about your sleep schedule and, you try to like, try different things,
That's hardcore. That's amazing.
but I think I like those early morning hours because I used to, there was a very brief period of life where I was getting up really early. And I like that too. I like that feeling of that quiet, where you can really like, nobody's doing anything, nothing's happening. You feel like, oh, this is mine, like the world is mine. No one's here. And that's what I like about the night is it feels like my little secret. Like,
The graveyard shift.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I like that. Then do you just sleep most of the day to make up for it?
Yeah, I just sleep until I either until I have a meeting that I have to wake up for or until I wake up. So, and
Yep. You're a cool girl.
I'm lucky that I live with someone who is kind of, an artist who's, can roll with that schedule. So,
You're super cool. You're like my new cool girl idol. You and Gina. I always said to Gina when she did Just Keep Dancing, she must have thought I was a freak. I was like, "Oh my God, you're so cool." She's like, "Okay, we are adults, aren't we?" But still, like if we were in school, I would so be like trying to be your friend.
well, I would be your
Graveyard
friend.
shift, narrating, cool haircut, you're cool. You got style. And you're a serious narrator with
Well, you're
serious.
cool. You're cool too, and you have style. So, thank you.
Thank you. I like
I
I do like my style too, but I like to hang out with people that have style as well. So, Jennifer, you're not going to get off the hook for this one. One final question.
okay.
For those that are going to be watching this on YouTube in 200 years, if you could leave them with one thing. Oh, and you guys, in case you joined the call a little bit later, if you have any questions for Jennifer or anything, feel free to put it in the chat and I will send her the chat afterwards. Don't worry, she won't totally miss out on it by not seeing it. So, if you could leave the studio audience, everyone in the YouTube world, with one piece of advice, or if they take anything at all away from this call, what would you want them to take away from this call?
I know that you asked this question, and yet I didn't think about. I should have had a really good answer.
No, I'm glad you didn't. It's better if it's not
I
used.
I want people to think about other people's lives. Um, I want people to stop and think about what other people are going through. I think empathy is the most magical, wonderful thing about us as humans. Um, and I think a lot of our problems would be solved if we'd all lean into that. Um, so what I want the world to get from this 100 years from now is to get your shit together and start thinking about other people
I love that. Plus,
and
it
listen
makes
to
us
an
better
audiobook. You can,
narrators.
yeah, read books, listen to audiobooks. It starts
Yeah,
there.
because books are a way into a million other worlds, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
You can't be a character if you can't put yourself in their shoes, can you?
No, no, not at all. Not at all. I mean, I love getting to play characters that feel like an extension of me. But yeah, they're never me exactly. um,
I like the psychopaths. I like the broken characters. I like the best character I ever played. I can say this without saying what book it was. Ate her girlfriend in the end, like murdered her and butchered her and everything. But to be fair, I really, really got not that bit, but her thinking throughout, you know what I
hmm
mean? It was like,
Yeah.
I got it. I saw why she thought what she thought.
Yeah,
You know,
she's completely out of her mind, but there's that human part of her that, yeah,
I saw how she got there. Every character could be us, just different
yep,
circumstances.
yep, that's it. That's it. That's life.
Yeah.
Problem
And every
solved.
person could be us, different circumstances. I love that. We all learned a lot from your mom tonight. Thank you so much, Jennifer. I'm so glad we
Thank you
got a
for
proper
chatting.
chat. And thank you to the studio audience for joining. But all joking aside, if you want to see a really fabulous narrator website, look at Jennifer Pickens' website. It's superb. It's just really, really a masterclass in websites, and your samples are wonderful, and it's a joy having you as a colleague. So,
Thank
and
you,
getting to know
Daniela.
you. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, guys. Mwah! Everyone, take care. Have a good week. Bye.
Bye.